Welcome to the final session of Why Easter Matters. A title is taken from Andy Stanley's book by the same name. Well, tonight we want to talk about how the resurrection changes everything. No one, not even Jesus' closest followers, expected him to rise from the dead. We would have expected him to do what dead people do, stay dead. There was no one that gathered at the tomb that morning with the idea that he was going to rise from the dead. Even the soldiers that were posted there were only there to keep the people outside from getting in. They had no thought of the man inside getting out. So let's let Patty set the scene for us.
Well, first of all, I just absolutely love Easter Sunday morning. We celebrate Good Friday and we think of Christ's sacrifice on the cross, and we really dwell on his love and his suffering. And then when it comes to Easter Sunday morning, I love saying he is risen to my fellow believers at church. I didn't get to do that this Sunday, but I really love celebrating immediately. But that's not how it happened the first Sunday, Easter Sunday, is it? In fact, very, very early in the morning, the women had planned, and I don't know, there were 4 or 5 women, or maybe more than that, who had planned to go to the tomb to embalm Jesus' body, to pour spices on the body. So, because we know that Mary and another Mary had actually been there when the body was laid in the tomb, and they knew that that body needed to be adorned properly, an honorable burial. And so they got a group of women to go, and while they were on their way, they were talking to each other. How are we going to roll away this stone? That was a big thing, because that stone would be much too big for all of them to try to roll away. And when they got there, shock of all shocks, they saw that the stone was rolled away. Now, first thing in their minds is, what's happened here? Why is the stone rolled away? And so they went inside the tomb and immediately saw that the body was not there. Now, as I've studied the scripture, I think what happened is Mary Magdalene must have just turned on her heels when she saw that the body wasn't there. She was shocked. She was like, I have to tell Peter. And she takes off ahead of the other women to tell them. And this is what she said when she got to where they were. She said, they have taken the Lord's body out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have laid him or where they have put him. Now, we never know what she was thinking about who they were, but nevertheless, this is what she said, is they have taken the Lord's body. We don't know where they have put him. We do know from scripture that the women did see, other women did see angels that said, he is not here. He is risen. So maybe they came after Mary and they're starting to tell another story. I think the disciples were rather confused, besides their not being ready for anything about a resurrection, right?
Well, in fact, at this point, they knew nothing of the resurrection talk. It wasn't in their minds. It wasn't in their narrative. The women were heartbroken, and the men themselves considered what the women had to say about the missing body as being such nonsense. So the Bible tells us very clearly they didn't believe. And that is a very, very important part to where this story begins, is to understand that they didn't automatically jump to the idea that Jesus has risen, isn't this wonderful, and everybody was happy. Instead, there was this deep-seated sorrow, and it was accompanied by this great disbelief. And that's what we want to spend the rest of the evening lesson talking about, is how that became transformed, but in a gradual process.